all the participants. Good afternoon, good morning to all of you connected today for this webinar. It is my pleasure to welcome you to celebrate International E-Waste Day 2023 with the Partnership for Action on Challenges Relating to E-Waste. I have the pleasure of facilitating today's session on e-waste collection, best practices and lessons learned in Indonesia, Trinidad and Tobago, and in the European region from PACE2 pilot projects. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Francesca Cegni, and I work as a Program Management Officer in the Science and Technical Assistance branch of the Basel, Rotterdam and Stockholm Conventions Secretariat. Today's session is planned for 1 hour and 30 minutes. And after the opening remarks by David Ogden, Deputy Executive Secretary Officer in charge of the BRS Conventions, Leila Devia, the Director of BCRC Argentina, and co-chair of PACE2, will briefly introduce the goals and the work of the partnership. I hope, Philo, you can change the slide to the program.
No, it's I can't do that. The Janine has to, because now I can't move it. Can you give me back the
I will. I have changed it. Okay, so now all you can read the program, and so after the opening remarks of David Ogden, who is the Deputy Executive Secretary Officer in charge of the BRS Conventions, and the words of Leila Devia, who is the Director of BCRC Argentina and the co-chair of PACE2, we will then continue with the presentations to share experiences on e-waste collection, experiences gained in the implementation of PACE2 pilot projects in Indonesia, Trinidad and Tobago, and in the European region. After the presentations, we will open the floor for questions and answers from the participants, and we ask you to kindly introduce yourself because we are very many connected now and we cannot have a round of introductions at the moment. So with this program presented, I have the pleasure of passing the floor to David Ogden for his opening remarks. David, you have the floor.
Thank you, Francesca. And yes, unfortunately, Ralph Payette could not be here today, our executive secretary, but I'm happy to fill in his stead. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is really a global webinar covering a large part of the world. So it's a really sort of evident of this digital trend, this internet world in which we've become so accustomed to. So being International E-Waste Day, I think is of course an appropriate way to move forward. So it's a pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar in celebration of International E-Waste Day. As many of you know, the Basel Convention is working to enhance the environmentally sound management of e-waste, promoting the development of extended producer responsibility policy and financing systems to support the collection and take back of e-waste. Just a few statistics. In 2022, 73% of the world's population age 10 and higher owned a mobile phone, with the number of mobile broadband subscriptions increasing by a massive 14.8% per year on average. It has been also calculated that about 200 kilos of materials are used for each smartphone. So obviously there's a lot of waste, since my phone does not weigh anywhere near 200 kilos. Minerals and metals are also necessary for servers, wires, data centers, solar panels, and batteries, creating potential scarcities that would put at risk a sustainable digital transformation in the world unless recycling becomes more the rule. It is estimated for this year, or it has been calculated, that if the digital world was a nation, a country, it would be the fourth highest polluting country worldwide. In addition, with every household needing a refrigerator, a washing machine, or a dishwasher, the e-waste generation will continue growing exponentially, exceeding the capacity of the planet to sustainably receive it. In light of this huge growth in e-waste generation, the parties to the Basel Convention decided to bring all types of e-waste under the convention, requiring that all e-waste is brought to environmentally sound disposal from wherever it is generated or moved. These changes will become effective in January of 2025, so a little over a year from now, with the incorporation of the e-waste amendments into national law by parties to the convention. In the Northern Hemisphere, this year we experienced some of the hottest months in recorded history, or the hottest months in recorded history, further necessitating the move to a more circular, zero-waste economy. Working towards circular economy is one of the most important strategies to combat climate change, creating social and environmental benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, the Basel Convention is the only global multilateral environmental agreement which includes provisions on the environmentally sound management of waste to ensure that the life of e-products is extended, the materials from e-waste are recycled, and the extraction of virgin materials is reduced to a minimum. ESM is the basis of circular models, and the Basel Convention over the last 34 years is promoting strategies and guidance to halt production from waste, which also helps in mitigating climate change and protecting our ecosystems. I invite you to join us in raising awareness to take back schemes, extended producer responsibility, and to change our e-waste habit and making the invisible e-waste visible by handing it over to repair, refurbishment, and recycling. With these few words, I hope you enjoy the session today and benefit from this exchange of experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Sorry, I have to interrupt. Please, I request everyone, please do not unmute your mic while someone is talking, because it's very difficult to hear after that. There's a lot of disturbance. Thank you very much for your understanding.
Thank you, Filomena. Thank you, David, for these opening remarks. And I have now the pleasure to pass the floor to Leila Devia, who is the BCRC director in Argentina and the one of the two co-chairs of PACE2. Leila, you have the floor.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to me introduce briefly the Partnership for Action on Challenge relating to e-waste. I am Leila Devia. I am the director, not the director because I am in the transition for the direction of the Basel Regional Center in the process of my retire. And with Dana Lapesova, I am the co-chair for PACE. The partnership was established as follow-up partnership to the Partnership for Action on Computing Equipment in 2019. Since June 2022, the partnership has a new name, PACE2, and has an enlarged scope, which includes used and waste TV, screens, audio, and video equipment. refrigerators, cooling, and heating equipment, in addition to the mobile phones and computing equipment. The partnership has the overall goal of enhancing the ESM of use and waste equipment in the scope at the regional, national, and local levels, taking into account social responsibility, the concept of development, and life cycling thinking. The partnership does include dissemination activities, raising and outreach, educational programs, development of guidance documents, facilitation of pilots, project sharing experience of policies, research, and new technologies. Today, we gather in one of the training and experience organized event by the partnership to celebrate International E-Waste Day, the WE Forum. I hope you will actively participate in this session and celebrate with us International E-Waste Day to make visible e-waste more visible. Thank you very much, and I hope that you are a great meeting.
Thank you very much, Leila, for introducing phase 2. And we are now starting the program with the first presentation by Dadan Vardana from the BCRCEC and SCRC in Indonesia. The presentation will speak about the e-waste collection systems in place in Indonesia and in particular in Jakarta and around this big city. I hope Dadan can share his screen to provide the presentation. Dadan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Pharmacy? Not like pharmacy, like killing. Let's say pharmacy where they don't allow us to cope with that with cellular internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us, would you like that we share
So
the
now I would like
presentation?
to. Leadership awareness. Yeah.
From our side. Or would you like?
I'm trying to share my.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Yes, it is Indonesia.
Hello, Leshaba, please mute.
Yes.
Hello, Leshaba, please mute.
Okay.
We have a background noise. We cannot hear Dadan. Just a second. We have a background noise. We cannot hear.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps you have to mute other channels. Okay. No, still. Now it's better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dadan.
Yeah, thank you. So, as requested, we would like to present or to share information on part of our current study or assessment on the situation of used computing equipment in Asia, especially in Indonesia, Pakistan, and Cambodia. But we are focusing on collection systems for e-waste in Indonesia first during this International E-Waste Day. I'm with my colleague Rizky Reza Bramansyah, which is the project officer for phase 2 project in Asia. We are currently undertaking the development of priority action plan of the environmentally sound management of used computing equipment in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Pakistan, which is sponsored under the Basel Convention. And the one of the three major activities under this project is the first phase, or the first stage is the basic situation assessment on used computing equipment in the three countries. But the project itself aims at identifying the most basic or primary issues, which led to other issues in connection with used and waste computing equipment management in the three countries. And based on that identification of the primary issues, then under this project, we will also develop a priority action plan for corrective action and or improvement in the environmentally sound management of used and waste computing equipment. And of course, in the minimization of their generation and similar e-waste types generation by optimizing their use to fulfill the need of students in the participating countries for functional used computing equipment and similar used electronic products necessary for their online learning processes, and to identify the opportunities for the establishment of public-private partnerships for the environmentally sound management of used and waste computing equipment. So this is the project activities, the basic situation assessment, national priority action plans development and assessment of potential public-private partnerships to support the implementation of the environmentally sound management of used computing equipment. But under this event, or in this event, we will not we will talk about e-waste in general, not only the used computing equipment. So especially in Indonesia. In Indonesia, the generation of e-waste or used compute as well as used electronic products are actually not yet studied more in specific or thoroughly, but the e-waste generation in Indonesia is based on estimation done in 2022 in 4 municipalities and used as a basis for estimation, for projection. So it's not yet reliable. And but according to the Global E-Waste Monitor, there is a 39% increase in e-waste generation in Indonesia from 2019. And we zoom in deeper to the special provincial government of Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. Although there is no official inventory ever conducted in Jakarta, the capital, but according to the local environmental authority, about 120 kilogram of e-waste has been collected from 2018 to 2022. So based on this, we have suggested that the local and the provincial government to conduct more thorough inventory of e-waste.
Questo qual è? Questa
Before
era
we
2149 era. Quindi il modello non avevano ritirato. Però noi il decreto gliel'avevamo mandato.
Excuse me, could you please mute your mic? We've been requesting right from the beginning, please mute your mic.
we would like to introduce the legal basis for e-waste management in Indonesia. In Indonesia, e-waste is divided into two regimes, two legal regimes. First, e-waste fall into the category of specific waste from municipalities under the law of Law number 18 of 2008 on solid waste management. And e-waste also may fall into the hazardous waste from industrial sources under the law of environmental protection and management. So based on the sources, e-waste is managed differently. First, the e-waste from industries have been taken care quite well by a recycling company in Indonesia. But the e-waste from households or from municipality sources are not yet taken care of well, like those from legal entities. So the implementation of this e-waste management from municipalities only conducted in few municipalities, was advanced from the municipalities in Indonesia is the e-waste management which under the responsibility of the provincial government of Jakarta. So in Jakarta, the e-waste collection, especially from households sources or municipalities, is taken care of by mainly by the environmental authority of the province of Jakarta, which consists of 5 sub offices or sub authorities for environment in the 5 municipalities of Jakarta, which consists of West Jakarta, North Jakarta, East Jakarta, South Jakarta, and Central Jakarta. So there are 5 municipalities, and the government of Jakarta serves e-waste collection generated from households or common communities with a service since 2018. So the generator from a household may contact the government of Jakarta, the environmental authority. Then they have to fill out the registration form, and they will be notified about the pickup appointment, and the generator has to sort out the e-waste from other waste, and then the nearest sub environmental authority or local environmental authority, for example, West Jakarta, then they will arrange a pickup at the at some points. Usually the citizens house or the citizens home. Then they pick up and check and transport and store the e-waste in the local municipality or local environmental authorities warehouse or storage. And then after certain amount or maybe certain time interval, then the accumulated e-waste in the local environmental authorities warehouse will be transported to the provincial environmental authority warehouse. So there, the e-waste are weighted and documented, recorded before being picked up by a recycling company, which has agreement with the provincial government for pick up and recycling. And then they send manifest, this recycling company is licensed and licensed for hazardous waste management, and send manifest to the provincial government of Jakarta. So in addition to the provincial environmental authorities collection system, there are some other non-government and profit-oriented companies operating the collection system for e-waste in Jakarta and other cities as well, or other municipalities. One of it is called e-waste RJs. E-waste RJs was founded by an 11-year-old boy in 2016, and first they provided Dropbox for the school for his school, but it was then successful, so that after the boy was grown up, then it founded a company up to the moment with his partners. And since 2016 until 2021, about 7 tons of e-waste from common communities has been collected by this company, or about 1.6 tons per year. The community members who wish to drop or to send their e-waste to this company must register first on e-waste RJ's mobile application, and then open locations, and also they are given other information. So the dropper or the waste generator from households may direct it to drop their waste at the company's warehouse in Jakarta, or in some drop boxes installed in some locations like commercial areas, and send to the company's partners, agents, or in some events, because this company at least once a year conducted an event to raise public awareness on e-waste, as well as collecting e-waste from the cities. So, but this company does not perform any evaluation on functionality of the collected e-waste, because all the collected e-waste are destined or transferred to recycling company. This is also a licensed recycling company for e-waste. Another organization, also profit-oriented, it's called Octopus. Actually, its initial operation is in Makassar, outside Jakarta, another island in the province of South Sulawesi. So this company makes use of the existing infrastructures in Indonesia. In every municipality, there are community-based organization which is called Waste Bank. Not West Bank, but Waste Bank, bank for waste. So the citizens may send their waste to this waste bank, or the partners of these waste banks, and they get incentive. So they get paid for the waste, for economically valuable waste. Then the company send the e-waste and other waste as well, not only e-waste, to regional collection center. And from the regional collection center, they send to recycling industries, to recycling companies, for example, in Makassar. So in addition, this company also empowers the previous waste scavengers, which usually pick waste in some temporary e-waste bins, e-waste storage. So they educated the waste scavengers so that they even becomes a public awareness raising agent. So they coach the people, the citizens, how to segregate, to sort out waste, and to clean the waste so that they are more valuable. And they also pick the waste and send to a checkpoint. And this checkpoint is in every neighborhood or in sub-district. And then they send this to the district collection center or regional collection center and to recycling company. Currently, this company operates in 5 provinces with over 250,000 application users or customers, and about 14,600 partners using 2,000 checkpoints in 90 sites. This is one of the checkpoints which we managed to visit last month. Here, if previously they empowered the waste scavengers commonly found in municipal solid waste disposal sites, but nowadays this system not only attract the previous scavengers, but they also attracts other people who have already a profession. For example, teachers, the middle school teachers, and household wives, etc. They have become what's so called pelestari. Pelestari in English, more or less conserver. So they are conservers. So this company recruited them, and they to raise public awareness and also to collect waste, including e-waste from them. The other company, which is operating in Indonesia, is also a profit-oriented company. It's so-called Waste for Change. This company collect not only e-waste, but also other economically valuable waste, and it operates in 17 cities with over 70 clients. This company specializes in serving legal entities like computer rental, also banks, like some foreign banks operating in Indonesia. So they have when they have to replace their computing equipment, then they have to send out the used computing equipment, which is still functional, to this company, and this company checks their functionality and transfer them to wholesalers for use or sent to recyclers for parts or material recovery, and the residues is being disposed of in landfill. So this company also manage all the e-waste according to the regulations. And also this company, like Octopus and e-waste RJ, this company also provide public education in solid waste management once a year. And they also report the e-waste and other waste management to government. So these are the collection system snapshots. Actually, it's not maybe not really representing the entire nation or the entire state, Indonesia, but it is snapshots of the is collection in the capital of Jakarta. So we would like to recommend, based on these studies, we would like to recommend more thorough or specific studies be conducted, especially for inventories of e-waste from common communities, and also to study the demand on functional used electronic equipment, especially UCEs, and also to further develop collection system, especially integrated collection system, to integrate the separate collection system operating in one city or one municipality to become integrated collection system at national level, participated by the existing companies, so that the government may have control on material flows and also control on quantitative data acquisition, and also to provide opportunities for public-private partnerships in implementing the ESM of used computing equipment and e-waste in general. So that's what I can share with you tonight. I would like to apologize if the information is not yet comprehensive, because the study is still undergoing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dadan, for this presentation and this very lively environment on collection in Jakarta and around Jakarta. It was really interesting to see how many different ways and strategies in place, including educational activities by the companies and the actors involved. Thank you. I now have the pleasure of introducing the second presentation on the collection of mobile phones in Trinidad and Tobago by Janine Bodram and Shalina Roplal. Janine Bodram and Shalina Roplal, they work in the BCRC, in the Basel Convention Regional Center for Training and Technology Transfer in Trinidad and Tobago, and they will introduce the Hello campaign. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francesca. I am just going to share my screen, colleagues, and good morning, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon and good night to everyone. My name is Janine Bodram. I'm the research analyst at the BCRC Caribbean, and today I will be presenting on the project that we would have been funded to implement under the PACE 2, entitled The Demonstration of the Environmentally Sound Management of Used and End-of-Life Mobile Phones in Trinidad and Tobago. And I will be presenting alongside my colleague, Ms. Shalina Ruplal, today. To provide an overview of our presentation before we get into the project itself, so we'll go through the project objectives and activities and our approach to execution, and we'll also touch on some of the challenges and lessons learned. And as this project is not yet completed, we'll also share with you the next steps as well for project execution. We did have a brief slide about the BCRC Caribbean before we got started, but I think most of you know who we are. So just to reiterate that we serve 15 parties to the Basel Convention and Stockholm Convention in the Caribbean, and we are actively working to ensure that technical assistance and technology transfer is provided to the parties we serve. So moving along into the project overview on the demonstration of the environmentally sound management of used and end-of-life mobile phones in Trinidad and Tobago. So this project was developed in response to one of the items in our business plan. So Trinidad and Tobago would have previously indicated that they would have liked a project that would deal with end-of-life mobile phones in the country, given that the number of active mobile data subscriptions around 2019 when that business plan was being developed, or around 2017, sorry, when that business plan was being developed, would have been nearly 2 million at that time. So it was recognized that because of the short lifespan of mobile phones, an intervention was needed to deal with this specific e-waste stream. And for that reason, when the call for proposals came up, we would have applied and received the endorsement from the focal point to execute this project to address that need in the country. So the project really aimed to divert this waste stream from landfills, because it was noted during site visits to some of the country's landfills that mobile phones would have been strewn across landfills, as well as other streams of e-waste. And of course, to increase public awareness on the environmentally sound management of used and end-of-life mobile phones, and by extension, e-waste. The BCRC Caribbean, in executing this project in Trinidad and Tobago, would have worked alongside several partners in the public and private sector. Of course, the focal point and the competent authority for the Basel Convention being the Ministry of Planning and Development and the Environmental Management Authority, respectively. The Tobago House of Assembly, we had a private sector partners in the form of Piranha International Limited, a local recycler, B-Mobile and Digicel, who are telecommunications providers in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, the Solid Waste Management Company Limited and the Bureau of Standards, and the a Caribbean network for telecommunication operators, Canto. So this would essentially, our partnership with Canto essentially would facilitate the upscaling of this project across the Caribbean. In fact, we actually received interest from Barbados to develop a replication of this project in their country. So we are excited about that as well. So to touch on some of the project activities, so activity 1 would have looked at planning and project planning and coordination. We would have hosted the virtual inception workshop and done a lot of stakeholder engagement under that activity to bring all different stakeholders on board and increase awareness of the project. And then under activity 2, we would have done a pilot demonstration for the collection of used mobile phones, and we would have also developed assessments on the process for the local e-waste recyclers, environmentally sound management of these mobile phones, as well as looking at the national infrastructural and institutional capacity for long-term management of used and end-of-life mobile phones. And that second assessment that I would have just mentioned is what will inform the development of the national policy paper under activity 3, under which we'll seek to develop a framework which can inform the environmentally sound management of mobile phones in Trinidad and Tobago. And under activity 4, which was one of the more exciting parts, we had a public awareness campaign being developed and try to make this project a little more visible. So this was actually mentioned at the BRS COPs in 2022 by Trinidad and Tobago. So the name of the campaign is Helping Electronics Live Longer, and we had 2 mascots developed for gender mainstreaming. One was female and one was male. And they're 2 cell phones, Selma and Selwyn. And they are essentially our mascots and our champions for promoting change as it relates to management of mobile phones, but we also want to use them on a wider scale for electronics in general. So although this this brand essentially was developed under this project, we see that it can be used in other projects and promoting other awareness, to support other awareness materials being developed as it relates to other e-waste streams. So you'll hear a bit more about that later. And under activity 4 as well, we also would have done a knowledge, attitudes, and practices survey and developed an report coming out of the results of the survey, which would have been launched prior to the collection drive and then reissued after the collection drive and awareness campaign, in order to help us measure whether the materials that we were disseminating would have had any impact on behavior changes as it relates to the environmentally sound management of mobile phones in Trinidad and Tobago. So my colleague Shalina will touch on the other on activities 3 and 4 and 1. I will touch on activity 2 and discuss the assessments that would have been done under activity 2. Specifically, she'll talk also a bit more about the collection drive. So the BCRC Caribbean would have engaged a local e-waste recycler who would have been granted prior informed consent for transboundary movements under the Basel Convention before, and would have had environmental authorizations in place from the national regulatory agencies, and so this was Piranha International Limited. They would have also been keeping up with different international certifications and standards, including ISO 14001, 9001, and the standard on occupational health and safety. And the recycler, this company would have been in existence for 10 years. They also have what is called the R2 certification, which is a responsible recycling certification for e-waste management. So we would have chosen this e-waste provider because of the fact that they had all these standards, these certifications and authorizations in place. And we wanted to look at their standard operating procedures and review these against the Mobile Phone Partnership Institute's guidance document on the environmentally sound management of used and end-of-life mobile phones. So this assessment was done in tandem with the collection campaign for mobile phones. So my colleague Shalina will touch on that in a little bit, but essentially we would have launched a national collection campaign and deployed collection receptacles across different parts of the country, including both islands, Trinidad and Tobago. And here we would have also engaged the support of the telecommunications providers. So their stores would have been used as collection points. We would have also had support from other ministries and so on who would have been interested and supportive of the campaign. And in Trinidad and Tobago, there was one prior collection drive that was conducted in a similar fashion by an NGO previous to this project. And that was conducted during COVID, so they did have limited success. So under this campaign, we wanted to pilot it because of the fact that we do not have a collection system in place essentially for mobile phones. So for that reason, we would have worked with Piranha International Limited, as well as the telecommunications providers, B-Mobile and Digicel, to set this collection system up. And simultaneously, we would have been working with Piranha to look at how after they receive the phones for processing, how they would essentially ensure the environmentally sound management using the MPPI guidance as a benchmark for evaluating how the would recover the phones, would process the phones. So essentially, in our assessment, different criteria would have been analyzed under 5 key functional areas, namely collection, testing and reuse, refurbishment, material recovery and recycling, and transboundary movement. So we would have engaged a consultant who would have looked at criteria which would have been applicable to the processes of the recycler. So, for example, criteria related to some of the national policies and EPR schemes, their compliance with some national policies and EPR schemes were not used in the evaluation because Trinidad and Tobago does not have an EPR scheme in place for mobile phones. But so these were eliminated, and the consultant would have also developed a rubric for the criteria that we would have been looking at to rank the recycler in different areas of having no mechanisms in place to having advanced mechanisms in place. So some of the criteria against which the recyclers' operations would have been benchmarked included whether collection was free, whether collection points were secure, whether devices that were recovered for reuse were packaged properly in a way that would protect their integrity, and whether phones were tested prior to being dismantled. So these were some of the areas in which the recycler would have fell down a little bit because essentially because of the limited material flow of the e-waste in Trinidad and Tobago. This affects the economic feasibility of collecting waste for free. So even though they would have scored low for that criteria, the justification for their charges was the reason for them having charges was justifiable. And some of the consultant would have also conducted site visits to look at the operations, and some of the processes that they would have also missed in some of the processes that the recycler would have also missed in their standard operating procedure would have been, for example, not testing the phones, for example, using the loop or ping tests prior to undergoing dismantling and so on. So they would have looked at the process in person during that site visit and would have identified some gaps where the best practices, the standard operating procedure, can be improved to be more in line with the best practices outlined in the MPPPI's guidance. However, one of the things that we did note was that the recyclers' standard operating procedures were in line with the R2 certification procedures that they did have. So even though they had some gaps that were identified, they still would have been meeting they would have still been meeting the procedures outlined as per the R2 certification. It's just that we recognized where recommendations could be implemented to improve best practices overall as it relates to the recovery of the phones. But other than that, they did have a lot of the other criteria in place. They did have sound management mechanisms in place as well. And in addition to that assessment on the e-waste recyclers SOPs, we would have conducted an assessment on the national and infrastructural capacity for the management of e-waste in Trinidad and Tobago. So in this assessment, we would have looked at the consultant would have done a mainly a desktop review, and would have also sent out questionnaires to stakeholders in the public and private sectors to gather primary information. So some of the findings were that although there's not legislation in place to enforce the provision of the Basel Convention, Trinidad and Tobago still provides prior informed consent for transboundary movements of hazardous waste, including e-waste. And the Environmental Management Authority still works together with the Customs Division, the Bureau of Standards, and the Trade License Unit to manage transboundary movements. Trinidad and Tobago also has legislation to define e-waste and regulations in place for generators and handlers of e-waste. And although there are still some gaps as it relates to the national collection system for mobile phones and e-waste in general in Trinidad and Tobago, there's still a good foundation as it relates to the legislation so that these things can be built upon. For example, the implementation of an extended producer responsibility scheme, and ensuring that data security, that people who may want to participate in take back schemes for mobile phones feel secure with as it relates to data management. And one of the things that we found from the study that can also be improved upon would be awareness raising and training as it relates to best available technologies and best environmental practices for the management of use and end-of-life mobile phones, and also improving public awareness in general on environmentally sound management of this waste stream. So that is essentially it from my part. So I will now pass to my colleague Shalina, who will take you through a bit more of the exciting stuff under this project.
Thank you very much, Janine. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Shalina Ruplal. I'm a research officer at the BCRC Caribbean, and I will touch on activities 1, 2, and 4, particularly as they relate to the collection drive for used mobile phones and the public awareness campaign, which were executed simultaneously. So the National Inception Workshop for the project was held virtually on February 1st, 2022, where key stakeholders like the Ministry of Planning and Development, Piranha International Limited, the Tobago House of Assembly, the Environmental Management Authority, the Trinidad and Tobago Solid Waste Management Company, among others, they were engaged and briefed on upcoming activities. Next, a graphic artist was engaged for the production of the campaign logo, which you'll see shortly, both stills and GIFs of the mascots, as well as associated brand guidelines. The Hello Helping Electronics Live Longer public awareness campaign and its communication strategy were developed, where the mascots Selma and Selwyn were launched. Following the development of this campaign identity, this launch took place in May 2022, where key stakeholders like the Ministry of Planning and Development, the Environmental Management Authority, as well as those mentioned above, along with local telecommunications providers like B-Mobile and Digicel, were in attendance. If you move to the next slide, we can see then that following this, Piranha International Limited, which Janine mentioned, were engaged as a local certified e-waste recycling company. They took responsibility for the transportation of the collection bin throughout the collection drive, as well as the subsequent treatment of the collected mobile phones. An e-waste management expert, as Janine touched on, was engaged to assess Piranha's standard operating procedures, and this would have involved 2 site visits to their facility. The first incorporated an interview with the owners and operators to glean an understanding of their operations and practices. The second involved a run-through of their treatment procedures for the collected mobile phones. So as I spoke about before, the National Collection Drive was executed in tandem with the Public Awareness Campaign. And on the screen, you can see that there were media engagements with the national telecommunications operators. Next, we had pop-up events at supermarkets, which offered to house collection bins for 2-week periods. And we would have engaged with the public through dissemination of flyers and other communications material. The CAP survey was also promoted here, and persons were given the opportunity to respond and the support from the team as well. There were also pop-ups at environmentally focused parties during the carnival season and at different markets where patrons were called upon to bring their used mobile phones. Activity books were also distributed. The activity books were targeted towards primary school students between the ages of 5 to 12 years old, with the aim of teaching the youth about the environmentally sound management of this waste stream, along with general e-waste. Awareness-raising activities at secondary schools would have also incorporated assembly talks and presentation conducted at over 5 secondary schools in Trinidad, and these schools would have also hosted collection receptacles for the phones. The Knowledge, Attitudes, and Practices survey was no problem. Sorry about that. It's a little technical difficulty. Well, the Knowledge, Attitudes, and Practices survey was incentivized through the use of mobile top-ups along with a social media challenge where persons were encouraged to share a video of themselves depositing a used mobile phone in the bin, to tag the BCRC Caribbean on social media platforms, the Instagram and Facebook pages, to win a prize. And every 300 participants in the CAP survey also won a mobile top-up. The collection was also further incentivized through an interagency competition where entities under the Ministry of Planning and Development were given the opportunity to win a prize for having collected the most mobile phones within their organization or department. This formed a part of our corporate call to action where other entities like the Guardian Group, the Institute of Marine Affairs, the Ministry of Digital Transformation, among others, were invited to do the same. Television and radio interviews also formed a large part of the public awareness campaign. The team participated in about 5 interviews on 3 television stations, including 2 interviews on one television station, based primarily in Tobago. The interviews were also conducted with 2 radio stations, as well as with a newspaper team for a health-related feature. Advertisements pertaining to the collection drive and the public awareness campaign, along with the CAP survey, were also published in the newspapers. A communications consultant was also engaged for the production of a radio advertisement, and this advertisement was aired across 6 local radio stations, both in Trinidad and Tobago, for a 1-month period. If we'll move to the next slide now, I'll touch a bit on the collection drive, the execution, and then the challenges. So based on the map, we'll see that 14 collection receptacles were placed at different locations, some at ministry offices, some at B-Mobile and Digicel, telecommunications providers outlets, and this was done across Trinidad and Tobago. Secondary schools also supported in that they housed collection bins on rotation for different periods. We also had the buy-in from tertiary institutions like the University of Trinidad and Tobago. For a 12-month period, I'm sorry, is there an intervention? So I'll continue, thank you. Over 1,200 used mobile phones were collected over the 12-month period from June 2022 to June 2023. And this formed roughly just over 10% of our intended target. So to the right of the screen, you'll see that we encountered several challenges through the execution, where based on the results of the CAP survey, persons indicated that their older mobile phones were of sentimental value to them. They also indicated a lack of trust in the e-waste recyclers generally in terms of data security reasons. They were not confident that their data was secure. The campaign and the collection drive also had limited reach given that the start was coming out of the COVID-19 period and persons were still hesitant to reach out. Then locally, e-waste recycling, we would have mentioned that it's a paid service. So while the service was free, as in subsidized by the project, typically persons do not do pay for recycling their mobile phones locally. They indicated that incentivization or additional incentivization was needed. And there was also the issue where there was a lack of mobile phone providers, there was a lack of uptake on their end to supplement the incentivization of the collection drive and the campaign. So if we move on, this one speaks a bit about the role of education in the public awareness campaign. So from left to right, we'll have a look at the images where I mentioned previously awareness raising activities at secondary schools would have been along the lines of assembly talks, along with virtual presentations to staff, students, as well as the PTAs in some cases, and discussions with their tech clubs and their robotics clubs on general e-waste management. There were also public appearances, and the photo you see to the top there, it was a collaboration with Fonzamans and the launch of their toolkit to add an e-waste management element and to raise awareness there. And if you look at the graphs, you'll see that the CAP survey results before to the top and after to the bottom show a marked difference in that persons are more likely to consider these source materials for their mobile phones following the public awareness raising activities. Next, please. A bit more on the CAP survey results and challenges. So as Janine mentioned, we would have generated the CAP report, the Knowledge, Attitudes and Practices report, based on the results of 2 surveys, a pre-CAP survey, which was issued prior to the start of the collection drive, and a post-CAP survey following the end. If you look at the graphs, the pie charts to the top, you see that the number of end-of-life mobile phones should had decreased. Sorry, I'll wrap it up shortly. Thank you for the reminder, Francesca. Yes, so the number of end-of-life mobile phones in each household decreased, and then to the bottom, we see persons were more likely to donate or recycle their used mobile phones and less likely to toss in with the trash or the municipal solid waste, while a large number of persons do still store them at home. Next one, please. There were also more encouraging factors for repairing or refurbishing mobile phones towards the end of the campaign. And one of the challenges we encountered was the cost of advertising across different media platforms. And also, we saw that persons opted to resell, refurbish, or repair their still functioning mobile phones, which was sustainable in itself. Also, given the limited time frame and budget for the project, we would have liked to do more. Next, please. So some successes that I'll touch on briefly. Piranha International was cooperative and accommodating for their site visits, as well as providing the requisite information. As Janine touched on, they had partnered with us quite closely for the assessment phase. There was also a large amount of face-to-face engagement along with social media engagement, like the social media challenge, incentivization, and the interagency competition. The CAP report showed demonstrated behavior change. We made significant strides in terms of partnership with public and private sectors, as well as a very supportive national working group in terms of generating feedback on the assessment, as well as the questionnaire responses. And this informs the buy-in, as well as we hope for positive outcomes from this buy-in to shape future decision-making regarding e-waste management in Trinidad and Tobago. Next, please. In terms of sustainability and financing, the policy paper as a part of Activity 3 proposes recommendations for the creation of a policy to deal with the environmentally sound management of the waste stream as well as general e-waste. So we hope to advance that work in the next year or so. The BCRC Caribbean has proposed to Be Mobile, a local telecommunications provider, the possibility of the housing a collection bin for the foreseeable future, and they have yet to revert. As it stands, there is one collection bin or receptacle at the BCRC Caribbean office where the public is still invited to come in and bring us their old mobile phones. And of course, we have requested a project extension and amendment from the Secretariat to further the work being done thus far. Next, please. A short note on the lessons learned and recommendations. Locally, Piranha International is the only e-waste recycling company, so there is a need to ensure that other handles possess the requisite training and certifications. There is also no existing local policy for the management of e-waste. National legislation does not speak directly to it. There is a need for partnership with manufacturers and distributors to facilitate the implementation of an EPR scheme for used mobile phones and for e-waste generally. And there is also a need for training and capacity building locally with regard to repair and refurbishment of used mobile phones, as well as other types of computing equipment like your laptops, tablets, etc. Next, please. There's also a significant gap in terms of quantities of electronics being imported, quantities being treated, and at present going to landfill. And we've identified the need for a national inventory to address this. The local solid waste management system does not facilitate source separation, so all solid waste is commingled and goes to landfill. This includes your e-waste. Local landfills are typically non-engineered dump sites, and this presents a significant issue with regard to leaching and open burning of your e-waste. So there is a need to facilitate a suitable and sustainable e-waste collection system which adheres to the Basel Convention technical guidelines. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for having us today. If you have any questions or would like further resources, please feel free to email us. The contact information is on the screen. Thank you once more.
Janine and also Shalina for this presentation. It was interesting to see the mascots and the strategies put in place to enhance the collection of mobile phones in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think this project will be an example for many other projects in this area. It is now a pleasure for me to introduce Martin Jakus, who works at the BCRC in Slovakia, and he will provide examples of good practice in e-waste collection and awareness raising campaigns in the European region. Martin, you have the floor. Just a second, I will give you the presenter role.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for the word, and it's a pleasure for me to contribute to this webinar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Martin Jakusz. I work as a waste management specialist at the Basel Convention Regional Center, Slovakia. We serve the countries in Central and Eastern Europe, and we are based under the organizational structure of Slovak Environment Agency. And in this presentation, I would like to show you some of the examples of a good practice in e-waste collection and awareness raising campaigns. So my presentation will be based on a document that was developed under the PACE 2 pilot project, improving the environmentally sound management of computing equipment and mobile phones in Moldova and Belarus with our partners in these two countries. We had 6 activities under this PACE 2 pilot project. We had some online workshops. We had testing of one of the guiding documents developed under the Basel Convention and other activities. And in one of these activities, we were tasked to create something like a toolkit to serve as to facilitate the preparation and the running of the campaigns for collection of electronic waste and mobile phones waste, computing equipment in various countries. So we have prepared a compilation of good practice examples which consists of 25 case studies in running awareness campaigns. Most of these case studies are from European countries, but some case studies are from different part of the world as well. And so we will dive into the 5 of these case studies now. I will try to be brief, which will be a challenge because there's a lot to say about these case studies, but I will try to be brief and fast. So the first example is a campaign called Earn Respect. This was implemented in Belarus by an institution called Operator of Secondary Material Resources. The campaign was focused on consumers and households and with a nationwide scope. So basically, this campaign was about preparing and distributing 3 short films that aimed to remind people what is the importance of providing environmentally sound management of electronic waste. And these 3 videos came in 3 different genres. So one of them is an old school social drama in which an old refrigerator is pulled by an old man to a place where for a collection of mixed municipal waste with containers, from which and from this place its only destination would be the landfill. Another video is the Hollywood thriller about last moments of a washing machine, and the third video is a MTV type clip about used kettle. There's a link to the videos. I invite you to see them. I will provide this link into the chat box right after my presentation. They're really interesting. And these campaigns had a great success. They won an international award at the 3rd Beijing International Advertising Conference, which was focused on socially significant advertising projects. And from 5,000 applications from 10 countries, this campaign won a bronze award. It would be really difficult to measure the success of this campaign in terms of the collecting the electronic waste, but the creators of this campaign came up with an idea to measure the internet requests for handover appliances in Minsk and removal of household appliances in Belarus. And these increased by 10% since the launch of the campaign in 2020, which we can say it's a significant increase in the knowledge about the problem. Just some key insights into this campaign. So what is to be highlighted is the careful selection of the genres of these 3 videos, and really the atmosphere in this video. And this is this could really be appealing to a variety of consumers, especially the young ones, which on top of using a lot of home appliances, they frequently use a wide range of audiovisual electronic devices. Just to say, upon the financing of this campaign, the operator of secondary material resources is a state-owned company developed under one of the ministries of Belarus. So the resources for this campaign were coming from the state. Second example is from France, Je donne mon téléphone, which means I give my phone. The focus was on consumers and households, and the scope is nationwide. I can't move. All right, it works now. So this was organized by a non-profit organization called Ecosystem in France, and the campaign was distributed on the television, and it had a huge outreach. The surveys showed up that 1 of 5 citizens of France was aware of existence of this campaign. And so in only 3 months, 25,000 phones were collected, which presented a record. There was 2 options how to send the phones to ecosystem by using a printable prepared label to stick on an envelope, or by ordering a free of charge pre-stamped envelope. The phones were sent to a secure workshop, or where the personal data is removed, and the phone is either refurbished if it's possible and resold at a fair price, or is recycled. And the consumers could create an account, log on the website, and follow the destination and the path of their donated phone. Some results: over 140,000 refurbished phones, over 158,000 phones were recycled. By now, over 265 tons of raw materials were saved, and over 14 tons of CO2 were avoided. On top of this, 6 jobs were created on the bocage workshops that I mentioned before. Some key insights into this campaign. This is an example of really a simple and free service to the consumers with the user-friendly conditions. What is to be highlighted is the possibility to choose the donor of the donation for each handed phone, because for each handed phone, the donor could choose which association the small donation is going to, and the possibility to track the destiny of the sent mobiles. What I mentioned, that the consumers could see the website and create an account. And so all these features contribute to more transparency and authenticity of the campaign, and of course this can attract more people and deepen the interest of those that are involved. Another example is from Moldova. The national campaign Moldova Recycles WEEE was focused on consumers, households, and schools, and in the nationwide scope. So this an association, Eco-Digital, implemented an umbrella project with the name We Recycle WEE, and achieved the Sustainable Development Goals, under which this campaign, in a partnership with the Moldrec Group and Eco Recycling, was implemented. And this happened in 2 phases, in autumn 2021 and in spring 2022. With the aim to, of course, improve the collection of WEEE, but not only that, it aimed to disseminate the information on the rational consumption among the population. This campaign was based on the work of ambassadors, which basically were the institutions which could comply with the provisions of the campaign rules, and the most active ambassadors were awarded by the project implementers. 14 information workshops were organized in different regions of Moldova. On top of that, 3 repair workshops, also to highlight the importance of prolonging the lifespan of such equipment, and by repairing it. There is an online map of 190 collection points for electronic waste, and under the umbrella of this project, We Recycle We, and achieved the SDGs. 70 new collection points were added to this map of the collection points. Some results during the implementation of this project, about 110 tons of electronics were collected and prepared for recycling, and about 1,500 people, mostly students and teachers, participated in the mentioned workshops. Some highlights here. This is really an example of a comprehensive project. It has various components. The importance here was not only given to collection of the old appliances, but also to on repairs. And what is really of help and of benefit is the online map for collection points. This could be a really strong tool to facilitate the consumers to find their nearest point. This campaign was financed from a project which was sourced by international donors. You could see in the cover picture of the campaign Jeff logo. So this is also an option to facilitate the financing of campaigns. Another example is from northern countries, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and this is called Secure Collect. It had a nationwide scope in these three countries, focusing on household consumers and schools. This was run by, or is still run by, a producer responsibility organization called Recipo, operating in these three countries. And of course, it aims to increase the involvement of people to use the take-back system of their old electronic gadgets that contain sensitive and private data, and provide a secure collection and management. How it is done, you can see the very simple scheme in here on the picture. So the locked containers are placed inside electronic stores, and when they're full, they are transported to the locked part of a recycling facility where only authorized personnel has access. And then the electronics that could be reused is sorted separately, and the data is deleted using a professional erasure software. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get any information on the collection on the performance of this campaign, but this is an ongoing activity, so maybe in the future we'll see some results. And what is to be highlighted here is the issue, is how the PRO overcome the issue of the consumers that have concerns to hand over their phones because of the data and the sensitive information that they may still contain. So there is a claim to securely remove this information after the phones are collected. The financing in this case was under the extended producer responsibility, where the producers contribute financially to the system, to the collective schemes, and the PRO has then an obligation to use these resources to run awareness raising campaigns, to provide information towards the consumers on behalf of their producers. And the last case is from Slovenia. This is a national campaign, Odpadno je uporabno, which means waste is useful, focusing mainly on schools, and implemented in schools of a Pomurje region in Slovenia. And it is run by producer responsibility organization ZIAS, together with the local public waste service providers. Information about this campaign were advertised daily on local radio. Of course, there were also some posters placed on the frequent public places, and there was a vision of an award for for the schools that had the best WE collection performance, and the award here was the concert of one of the Slovenian popular singer. The performance of of each school could be visible online because the data was updated daily, and this facilitated the competitiveness of the schools among each other. Some other activities also took place under this campaign. So, for example, competition for making new products out of the electronics. So, as maybe this figure was created under this activity as well. And making a collection box for waste batteries, lamps, and small e-waste. Some results, these results are from 2016, participation of 26 schools and 18 municipalities with over 69,000 inhabitants, and 207 tons of e-waste was collected. Some key insights, well, in this case, really the students or pupils could have a huge drive to the challenge of the e-waste collection, and they can influence the others. They may bring the behavioral changes into their households as well, maybe even beyond. Also, what is of benefit is the vision of the price and the possibility to see the current results online, and this could enhance the competitiveness of the school. And such a campaign has a great potential to be replicated in other schools as well. Financing in this case is also through the EPR system. This campaign was run by a producer responsibility organization. So last two slides, I've prepared some lessons learned and the recommendations. These are based not only from the 5 cases that I presented to you, but from all 25 cases that are present in the document. So the first point I've just talked about in the previous slide about the pupils and students. Another point, so providing the discounts by distributors can be a very powerful tool to incentivize the consumers which want to buy a new device or a new appliance to their household, and can have some percentage of the discount when they bring their old appliance or electronics. It is really useful to for the consumers to be well informed about this option. So maybe through advertisements or on the webpage of the distributor, so they can think of bringing their old appliance in advance. The principle, better to see once than to hear 100 times, this was really used in at least 2 of the 25 case studies where the implementator of the campaign wanted to show the consumers what the gadgets or electronics consists of, and so to display the dismantled appliances and the components, so that the precious metals or all the materials used in the gadgets could be seen. And this could be really a good approach, particularly for the pupils and students that are curious what is inside the electronics. What I've mentioned already, the online map of all collection points can be very beneficial. So that increases the convenience for the consumers to see their nearest collection point to bring the electronic waste. And also one point about the importance to provide insight into the process after the collection, which of course increases the transparency and authenticity of the campaign. And this can be done through various means. For example, the possibility of choosing the donor after the donation of the device. We've seen this in the case of French campaign. Also in this campaign, it was possible to track the destiny of the e-waste handed over to for collection. Updating the information on the amounts of e-waste already collected by the activity was in case of Slovenia and other cases as well. So this can really increase the interest of the participants of the collection, and information on the means of secure removal of all residual data can be really a good benefit to show the donors of the equipment containing the sensitive data and personal data that they don't have to have the concerns about losing their data or misusing their personal data. So this would be all from my side. I will be available here for possible questions. So thank you for your attention. Pass the word back to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Martin, for this interesting overview of successful campaigns and what could be successful elements, and many ideas on how to engage in campaigns in your example, and more in the output of this project. We have at the moment we are over time, and we apologize with you for this. Some of you are still with us, so we would like to ask you to be patient for a few more minutes and at least give the opportunity to participants to ask one or two questions. And then we will close the session, and we apologize for having gone over time. So we'll see, you can raise your hand to ask a question if you would like to know more about these experiences. Of course, we will share the presentations by email, and you will be able to receive them in the coming days, and there will be also a recording published online in the same website where the announcement was. I see that there are no raised hands. There is one raised hand of Elham. You have the floor.
Benefit for us, and really it's a very good success stories. But I want to ask, what is the role of NGOs with these all success stories? And I know that the challenges to raising awareness, to collect more, or special the Arabic woman, Arab woman, sorry, the Arab countries, they didn't leave any mobile phone, or they collected, they keep it for a long time. How we can raising awareness to understand, to help us to collect more and more e-waste, because it's a problem in our countries. Thank you.
Hello.
I would give the floor to Martin, who has gone through many campaigns, and perhaps he can give examples and answer this question. Martin, yes.
Yes, regarding the role of NGOs, as I mentioned, some of the case studies within the document where the campaigns run by NGOs, and really depends on the situation or the system in the country how they can be financed. But one of the examples, or more of the examples, were showing that. So the sources can come from international resources or donors, and through various projects. And so this is one option to run the campaigns in within the NGOs, or to disseminate the materials that are created in other projects, or in other institutions, if the materials are available, and to distribute them, or maybe to provide some training for teachers, for schools. This is also an option. Regarding the incentivizing the people to hand over their old phones. I hear my echo. It's good on your side.
Yeah.
So this, in my examples, some hints were given also to for the implementer of the projects or campaigns to let the people know that they don't need to have concerns about their data, and provide for secure removal of the data by, for example, professional softwares. And this may really, if you deliver this information to the consumers, this may really help to incentivize them to bring their old phones, so that they can be recycled, and the primary resources can be saved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope
Hello.
Lam is happy of the answer.
Can I take to speak?
Yes.
Thank you all, Basel Convention Secretariat, and the team who participated to present the E-West important, and to commemorate for this World Day of E-West of today. And then we can share and we can share our experiences in Africa. I'm in Somalia, East Africa. I'm working with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and we are so involved with our sector of the waste management sector. So we have a great, gaps in this section. We are dealing with solid waste and liquid waste, while we have not still yet reached what so-called e-waste. So in this workshop or event of today, we are learning more, and we hope in Basel Convention we will learn more. And frankly speaking, the potentiality or the probability or getting of e-waste in every house in our country is available. For you may see every person may have four mobiles, while 3 of them are not functioning, and he's keeping in his home. And all those machines are in the households everywhere. So it requires a campaign, awareness campaign, to take and make recycling. Then we can make from there a positive action. And thank you. That's my comment which I want to add in this event. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for this intervention, Ali Hassan, and we hope to be able to to provide even more information, and we invite all of you to become members of PACE2 and to come in the meetings and the platform to share your experience, but also your needs, because there are so many countries and companies and NGOs active, and you can really find your partner or ideas or examples in the PACE2 community. With this, I would like to thank all the participants. We have gone over time, but we hope it was worth it, and you have learned and enjoyed this session. I thank you therefore Janine Bodram, Shalina from the BCRC Trinidad and Tobago, Dadan from the BCRC in Indonesia, and Martin Jakus from the BCRC in Slovakia,
Thank
the
you too.
presenters. And thank you to all the participants. Thank you to David, to Leila Devia, who opened this webinar session, and to really all of the staff in the Secretariat who helped Filomena and others. So
Bye-bye.
bye-bye, and enjoy
Bye.
the celebrations for International US Day. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you to
Bye.
all. Bye.
I see you,
Thank you very
Alpha.
much.